Starting to the top right of the map, we have our Terran player for Team AZUBU. He took down Ragnarok. Can he get a second win? Here's
AZUBU Ganji.
There's Ganji for AZUBU and his opponent. Protoss player coming out today. It's his first appearance, and he is
LIM first.
All right, Ken. Somebody get him some water.
He's not the only one who came out today. We actually have quite the audience here at the studio. We have the Prolecasters here.
Yeah.
And also Doa. I guess we will probably see them on camera in just a few seconds. They prepared a few signs.
Yeah, I think so. Probably see them up here in a few moments.
But as long as we have the players on screen, let's talk a little bit about what they achieved so far.
There
we go.
Whiplash, and of course, you see S&M to the left.
Oh, this is actually so mean. They didn't show Doa. Doa is sitting right to the left. Oh, that was not fair.
Well, it's fine. There will be more opportunities. Doa just needs to show some of his great art, making it cheerful.
Doa needs his only sign because they just didn't show him. That was a little bit mean, but okay.
Daebak, by the way, in Korean, being a word that kind of means like awesome. Basically, I suppose it's a fan coming from Canada.
Coming back to my point, by the way, we were wondering a little bit about the pick first earlier. When he was picked, we kind of looked up the statistics that he had in the IPL qualifier, the Korean qualifier that is. And this is probably the reason why the LJM coach decided to give first a chance here. Of course, what we've seen already in the entire preseason is that he wants to give all his players a chance to play in Heart of the Swarm now. Not a single player came out twice, I think. But first, won 2 rounds in the IPL qualifier. In both matches he had to face a Terran player. In both best of 3s he won without dropping a single map. He was successful against MMA and also against Sound. So this bodes well for his match against Ganji, and the Terran player has to be really careful of how he approaches this Protoss opponent.
Yeah, and so far First has checked his opponent's information here with his probe, saying, okay, you're going CC first. And after seeing this, made a change to his build. He did not use the assimilator and did not start a core, went into a faster nexus of his own, and this is going to kind of equalize things a little bit as far as economy goes. He also continued to use his probe very aggressively to try to deny the command center. Good micro though from Ganji, not losing any workers, not really having much of a delay. And this is just how command center first works. Your opponent will be able to do this with the probe and see your follow-up, see if you're making 2 barracks or not. There's nothing you can do to stop him.
Yeah, there's definitely nothing that you can do about that. And right now what we see is that on a big map like Whirlwind, we have both players with a few scouting information. The most important thing I feel is that First was really successful with his early scout. That's always the risk that you run when you pick a big map. You don't know exactly where your opponent spawns compared to a 2-player map. So with the scout you have to be a little bit lucky to go in. And especially for Protoss this can be so annoying. If you scout in the wrong direction, the opponent will have the Marine out, then you don't get any info whatsoever. And First was probably quite happy when he saw that the Ganji was spawning to the top right where he scouted.
That's a very good point, because had he scouted wrong, then that would be one way you could deny the information about what's going on with the barracks. Kind of hard to stop him from seeing the command center first, but this SCV will see everything as well. He could force field him out.
Yeah, he could, but look at what Ganji does now. He actually builds a 3rd command center once again. He did this already against Ragnarok. He wants to have a good economy early on, and therefore also takes a few risks, of course. If there's early pressure by First, then he will have a tough time defending against it.
With the sentries we see coming out here, and since he did not use that force field, I think the next thing that we will see is a hallucination of Phoenix to see what the follow-up is here. He's now wondering, okay, when are your gases? When are you going to have your factory tech? What sort of opening are you doing? Are you going to a 3rd command center as he is? Are you going to a multiple barracks attack where I need to make sure my mothership core is at home to defend so I can use the overcharge ability? What are you doing? It's just the probe up at first.
It's just so much better for Protoss players to scout now if you compare to Wings of Liberty. And this is exactly what Blizzard intended when they made all these changes. They wanted to give Protoss players another chance. They wanted to give them the ability to not go into Robo if they didn't want to. Yep. The robotics is what we see for First anyways. He goes into the Observer, but the Oracle that he hallucinated is now heading over to the top right, trying of course to scare Ganji a little bit, but also trying to find out what's going on.
Yeah, this is really cool that he can now hallucinate an Oracle, because it's basically the same speed as a Phoenix, and it's going to come in here, get information, and also maybe make his opponent scared, because a Phoenix is not as scary as an Oracle. Oracles can by themselves demolish an entire worker line if you're not prepared, so you may actually add a turret. But good information here. Now he knows everything. He knows the gas timing. And I believe he saw the third command center. He did.
Yeah. Sees the third base, so now he knows exactly what's going on. Ganji is using it for the triple SCV production. He wants to get ahead in harvesters, and he's closing the gap, 44 against 38 in favor of first, who goes into the robotics now. And we have him not only with one observer, he's going into several. 2 are already on the map. He's getting a third now, so he will use the very positional to find out what's going on. Kind of the legal map hack that you always want to have.
Yeah. You know, with all the hallucinations that can be made, all the zoning you can use the observers for, spotting your opponent's ramps, all of the ramps of your opponent, you know where his army is, how long it's going to take for it to get to your base, if he's moving out, when has he moved his command center down, all of these informations are known to you. And he's going to take a third base because he knows that the command center timing for Ganji is going to allow him this flexibility on a map of this size with the Mothership Core also available to him. He doesn't really have to worry about drop play or a big bio attack.
And he also has to catch up a little bit. He sees that the economy for Ganji is really good, so he has 2 choices, either expand on his own or just trying to attack it. He was not ready, not with his tech nor with the gateways, so not in a position where he can really execute a lot of pressure and take Ganji out. So he takes the third base, he goes into a second forge, he's starting with the upgrades. Colossus are also now on the production tab, as well as the Twilight Council, just going into all the tech that is available to him, putting a few pylons down to see drops when they happen, but as you already pointed out, Wolf, at this point, with the build that Ganji chose, his drop abilities are quite delayed.
I just really like what First is doing with his decision making in this game from start to finish with his choice to pull out a gas, make a faster Nexus after seeing. He's just constantly scouting and reacting. In this case, knowing as well what map we're on. If this were Alkalon Flats or if this were Silver Sands or even Icarus, for example, he would know that even after seeing that, it wasn't necessarily safe to add the Nexus right then and there, but in this case, he knows 100% he can do it, and I'm just really pleased to see the choices he's making.
And we also now have 4 first, in addition to the Colossi, the Templar Archive. So he really wants to go into this combination where you have the Colossi and you have Storm ready, but he plays this very, very much Wings of Liberty style. 1 Colossus, not getting into range upgrade, then switching his tech up into the Templar Archive, and later on then we will see probably a second Robotics and then a huge commitment to Colossi.
You could even hallucinate some Colossi to trick his opponent further. We've seen this already with High Templar in the preseason.
Not only with the High Templars, we've seen a lot of play where we see a player committing to Colossus, but then hallucinating 2 or 3, putting them into the front and just trying to tank a few Viking shots.
Yes. All sorts of things you can do with this. Now the hallucination is no longer researched. Before it was something that people just did not research because it wasn't worth it, but now you already have it straight out of the box. Pylons getting taken out here, not a big problem. Of course, for First, because he's using them to spot. Now he knows where the Marines are positioned. His drop in the main is already known about.
Yeah, the cannons are a little bit too late, but we have the Photon overcharge
the drop.
Nexus, and he will get it.
Nice targeting there on the medevac. No escape, no afterburners. He used it on his way in, so he couldn't use it on his way out.
Yeah, he was still in Cologne, so that was really well done here by First, using the Mothership Core ability to save his main base. Well done.
It's so important to have vision, like he does with his Observer. The Observer spots the drop, then he already overcharges his Nexus and can target immediately.
The one thing that was not spotted, by the way, is the Templar Archive here. And the scan was good, but he did not reveal the tech. With the second scan that he just used, he might have been able to spot it. Wolf is just double checking, but no, he still, he saw it.
Barely saw it.
He saw the Templar Archive, but he still does not know about the robotic spay. But I think he saw the Colossus earlier.
Yeah. Well, here comes a big drop in the main. He's got Zealots here, but that's not quite enough. The Mothership Core is actually at the natural right now. No, he moves all the way to the third, so he doesn't have much of a defense here. He's going to lose a Forge, and the second Forge will go down as well. These Templar are not a bluff. He actually does have Storms. He hits them well.
And he's really using them well. Look at all those medivacs. They just barely survive. The first thing that Yancy did when he saw the Templar Archive was build his own Ghost Academy. He's trying to counter those, but at this time he can't really do a lot. And what is this? All of the medivacs are suddenly gone. He used the afterburners, but he didn't get out of the base.
Yeah, he made a mistake there. He was too busy with his army in the middle of the map.
Oh, wow.
First is down just a little bit in supply. The issue for him, of course, is those upgrades. Here comes the attack. He does not commit here with his Colossus. He can recall at any moment in time.
And we have the charge abilities, trying to use it. Here comes one time warp to make sure that he can escape with his army. The rest of the Protoss force is now on the move. Another stim hits for the Terran player.
Oh, time warp goes down, and he chases some of these units down. Good splitting by Ganji, but here come the Storms. Really well placed here. He places them in the retreat path of the bio so that they have to run through them no matter what.
It's cloudy on Whirlwind today, and thunderstorms have been predicted, and there they are. More and more medivacs are now going down, and this one Colossus is really doing a lot of damage here. Still surviving, even though he doesn't even have the range upgrade.
Yeah, this Colossus is adding so much extra damage to the back, up to 9 kills. He has +2 armor. The SCV is being pulled away right into the army if he wants it. He doesn't actually chase them down, but the third has to lift.
He lifts the third, and also mining has been denied, while First is now taking another base. We have Ganji trying to go into +3/+3, and he needs those upgrades. He is an upgrade lead at this point, but he's down in army supply and also in economy.
Yeah, the wall is going to fall here as well. This is going to make it so that he can just run in here and constantly attack the third base with Zealots without having to worry about any units and any raised depots. 5 more gates being added right now for First. Ganji is in a position with, like you said, better upgrades, but his army is just too small. But look at this again, Ganji showing he knows how to use Widow Mines. He catches some of these transferring probes.
He's burrowing them everywhere on the map, and he has it all set up in the path where we will see reinforcements running to the top right. But here is a pathing mistake by Ganji, and here's good force split combined with the time warp that stops a few of the Marauders and takes them out.
Yep, Zealots here getting caught a little bit with some pathing mistakes, but only losing 4 Zealots is not going to turn the battle for Ganji. He needs a good engagement at the top of this ramp. The depots are gone, though. Good storm on those units combined with the force field.
First is trying to build up this momentum, and another storm hits home, and those medivacs, they can't do anything about it. He's charging in.
Yep, First is just, he's got the momentum to push through here. He's denying so much of Ganji's mining that Ganji just cannot continue producing units very well.
And he's actually also now taking down the mules. We still have a few observers trying to make sure that those Widow Mines can't do a lot. There's a scan, but that doesn't do anything because we have the observers just outside of the vision. It was a nice move by Ganji trying to scan to take down the observer to save the rest of the Widow Mines, but it just doesn't work.
It does not work. Look at these medevacs stalled out here, no energy left. And he tries to go down to the bottom of the ramp here. Look at all those Marauders in the red, trying their best.
The upgrades are now even. We have +2 for both of those guys, but +3/+3 will finish soon for Ganji. Can he buy himself enough time, though? It doesn't look like it. He's back into a corner now.
Archon's doing so much extra damage. Even the sentries, when sentries are killing Marauders at the 17-minute mark, you know something has gone wrong.
A 50 supply lead for First, and he has 4 bases
He's
against
got the Colossi
3.
now with no Vikings out to deal with them.
There is nothing that AZUBU's Ganji can do. He's trying to get more medivacs out, but he doesn't have the production to also add Vikings, and he also doesn't have the resources.
Yep, the Zealots are, once they cut through these Marauders, going to camp the production facilities. The Colossi cleaning up the SCVs, and this is going to be it for Ganji's run here in the finals. Even Time Warp being used on the SCVs to make sure they can be, well, not very combat efficient.
Not quite sure what he wanted to ensure with this, but whatever it was, it worked. LGIM's First wins the game, and now LGIM is again in the lead. We have exactly the finals that we wanted. Back and forth, every single team, they're exchanging blow for blow. It's awesome. I love it.
Yeah, and that was just really well done by First. Not to say that Ganji played poorly, but the way First analyzed what his opponent was doing before making any decisions that he made was just beautiful. It was amazing to watch how careful he was with his scouting, how well his observers were placed so he could see drops, his targeting against the medevac that first came into his base. Yeah. He just built a great composition. His storms were also excellent.
The storms were really, really well executed, and he did quite a good job here. A few slight mistakes by Ganji. The medivacs that he lost, the 3 of them, he could have used them later on, and of course lost a few units with them. But now we have the scenario where, once again, AZUBU has to pick a player. They have to find a good opponent for First now, and I'm not quite sure who they are going to use.
If I had to make a choice, I would say it's time for Genius to Protoss versus Protoss.
I would actually send out Supernova.
Supernova would also be a great choice. I feel that, you know, Top talked a little bit. He was being interviewed.
Could be.
But you already have one strong Terran player who's already proven himself a little bit in Heart of the Swarm. Fall and just not make a great showing on a big map. Then suddenly you want to send Top out. Doesn't seem to be the right choice in this matchup right now against First.
I really want to see who's it going to be. I can certainly see another Terran player coming out. I feel that Ganji in this matchup made a few mistakes that cost him the game, that cost him at least the momentum that he was trying to build up.
Yeah, it was a big map. He went for a lot of aggression that was all shut down.
But on the other hand, if you include the IPL qualifier that we talked about earlier, First is now in tournaments 5-0 against Terran, which is quite impressive. So I think, I think I have to take back what I said. Probably it's not going to be a Terran player. I would rather see, as you already said, either Genius in the PvP or maybe even a Zerg.
Yeah, bringing a Zerg out could be a good choice here as well. Only time will tell who they're going to choose. You know, they could pull somebody like Boom Boom out. That would make a lot of sense to me as well. And who is that?
I actually didn't get a good look at him.
It's Sleep. So, an interesting choice. You know, this is the preseason. We haven't had a lot of time, and usually when you go through a season of GSTL, you don't normally see in the finals someone who hasn't come out yet come out like this. But, I mean,
we pointed this out earlier. It's the preseason, so the thing that you want to achieve, especially when you have newer players in your team, you want to give them a bit of exposure and you want to give them the chance to play in the booth and get the experience that they will definitely need for the main season.
Sleep has seen a few teams in his day. Starting out on IM, he went into eventually Slayers and also went through Check 6. He's been teamless for quite some time. One of these teamless players getting picked up by AZUBU. He's got a lot of talent. He's been around for a long time. He has a lot of experience. And he's somebody that LGIM has to take seriously here.
Yeah, as I said, I feel the choice putting another player than Terran player out is a good one. At first I thought we might even see Supernova here, but with the record that First now has against Terran, it would be taking quite the risk. So it's going to be Sleep, but before we see the match, we are heading as usually into a 5-minute break. Then we will see First in the second game up against Sleep here at the GSTL Pre-Season tournament between AZUBU and LGIM.